Swedish politicians are not right about much, but you get the impression they think they're setting an example to the rest of us, and they are right about that. Their recent bizarre decision to recognise Palestine, a country that doesn't exist, is somewhat poignant, as the way things are going, Sweden itself won't exist much longer. Seems like every piece of news that comes out of that country is more disturbing than the last. But then they have been committing cultural suicide so enthusiastically for so long, there is now almost a sense that a tipping point has been reached, and that for the rest of us it's really just a matter of watching the grim process unfold as we thank our lucky stars we don't live there. But the Swedish people seem to like it that way, and that's the important thing, isn't it? Recently they elected a new government in Sweden, and only 13% of them voted for the only party opposed to unlimited mass Islamic immigration, which means that everyone else voted yet again for parties determined to keep the door wide open to an unsustainable flood of third world humanity forever. So if nothing else, it looks as if Sweden's recently acquired status as the rape capital of Europe is now assured. Indeed, apart from anti-Semitism, nowadays immigrant rape is what Sweden is best known for. I'm wondering if there's any connection between Sweden being the rape capital of Europe and the Swedish police being the laughingstock of Europe. It just seems to me that there might be an element of cause and effect in there somewhere. You see, Muslim immigrants in Sweden know that they can do what they like. They can riot and burn cars and even attack the police with stones, as they did again recently in Stockholm, and they won't be arrested in case it provokes them. I kid you not, that's what the police actually said. Consequently, Muslims in Sweden know that mob violence works and that the police are afraid of them, which means that the whole of Swedish society has reason to be afraid of them, because when push comes to shove, who are you going to call? The Boy Scouts? But it's a different story with the brave Swedish police when an artist exhibits paintings in a gallery that some people may choose to find offensive. Then they become tough guys. He's promptly arrested, dragged into court and given 6 months in prison. Because the Swedish police and the Swedish state are very good at arresting and punishing people for non-violent imaginary crimes of offence, but when it comes to dealing with rioting Muslim immigrant thugs, they're a running joke. Running away, that is. And their cowardice is helping to ensure that Muslim violence will only get worse, because it always does, and that ordinary Swedish people will be at the sharp end of it, as usual, especially the female ones. Sweden is the canary in the coal mine for us. It's the shape of things to come on Planet Progressive, and that's why this concerns all of us. Despite just recently holding elections, the current Swedish government is the weakest in decades, because nobody wants to talk to or work with the party with the third highest number of seats in the legislature. And this means that the nearly 1 million people who voted for the Sweden Democrats have effectively had their votes torn up and thrown away. In Sweden today, democracy is a threat that must be neutralised, just as free speech is a threat that must be criminalised. Like the old Soviet Union, they can't afford to allow either, because they're attempting to create an artificial society from a blueprint that doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And they've given it an almost theological significance, so that a dogma has been established, and this has led, inevitably, to heresy becoming a problem. So now anyone in Sweden who expresses the wrong opinion about Muslim immigration is liable to be arrested. That's if the police are not too busy running away from violent Muslims. When will Sweden be full of Muslims? Well, the short answer is never. They've talked themselves into such a tight corner and so demonised anyone who questions mass immigration that they could no sooner put a limit on it now than they could click their heels and give a Nazi salute. It's out of the question. So on and on it will go, forever. 100,000 or more a year, every year, year after year, it will never stop. Not even when there's a mosque on every street corner blaring the call to prayer 5 times a day through loudspeakers into your face. That's what's coming, Sweden, and nobody deserves it more than you. Oh yes, you're a real, shining, progressive beacon, all right, a real example to us all. Like the guy who dives head first into a thimble of water is an example to us all, but clearly that's what you want for your country, otherwise you wouldn't have been stupid enough to have voted yet again for more of the same. More Muslim rioting that the police won't deal with, more rape and robbery and social violence from an aggressive, ever-growing culture within your midst that despises you and everything you stand for, and more cowardly backing down before all of this. You deserve to see your culture destroyed. You're clearly not worthy of it. You deserve what's coming, but your children and grandchildren don't, and they're the ones who will pay the price for your irresponsible stupidity and cowardice. They will curse your memory for what you've done to them, especially the female ones, you nation of traitors. You society of lemmings, you ship of fools. You're playing for keeps here, Sweden. The tide is coming in, and it's not going out again. So you'd better get ready for what's coming your way. Get your head on the floor, get your ass in the air, get your daughters covered up and kept well out of sight, because you've booked yourselves a one-way ticket to the 7th century. And as goodbye, Sweden. Hello, Swedistan.